Hello, Defender Nation. I am Senior Master Sergeant Mark Velasquez, and welcome to another installment of Defender Giants. Our guest today is currently serving as the Commandant, Center for Faculty and Staff Development Enrichment at Barnes Center for Enlisted Education, Air University, Maxwell Air Force Base. I was first introduced to this Defender as a young staff sergeant when his guidance not only influenced my career, but it changed the trajectory of my life. Every squadron needs a defender like this. His compassion for his defenders are second to none. The wisdom that he drops are atomic bombs of knowledge. So if you ever get the chance to meet him, do not miss out on the opportunity. He will not give you the typical Air Force answer, but he will stop you in your tracks and make you squint with your ears to ensure that you catch everything that he is saying. It is my pleasure to highlight this week's Defender Giant, Senior Master Sergeant Demetrius Booth. Senior Master Sergeant Booth, thank you so much for taking the time to sit and answer a few questions for all the defenders out there. Jumping right into it, first question. In the past 5 years, what is something that you have gotten better at saying no to?
So I guess the start of that would be a book that my coach and good friend of mine, Jason and Jody Womack, wrote, titled Get Momentum. Inside of the book, they ask a very powerful question. What do you want to be known for? What do you want to be known as? Once I was able to figure out what I wanted to be known for, it helped focus my energy. And so when people would come along and ask me to be a part of stuff or to give my energy or my life work towards something, I would run a function check. And if it did not align with what I wanted to be known for or as, I would say no. And it's not always easy because you will have people who will should on you. SHOULD. You should be doing this, you should be doing that, you should be going here, you should be doing this for your career. But once I decided what I wanted to be known for as, it refocused my energy, it refocused my purpose. And so now I give the most powerful yes and most powerful no every time I'm asked to be a part of something. And so if my answer is no, because it does not align with what I want to be known for as, then I always suggest someone else that I trust to help this person out.
Wow, that's deep. When people SHOULD on you, you run a function check to see if it's in line with what you want to be known for. You know, to me, that's like you weigh it against your own personal life mission statement. And if it's not in line with it, then you don't do it. You know, there's never a lack of advice givers out there. And sometimes these advice givers don't even know our personal values or our goals. And they'll give us that unsolicited advice and tell you ought to be doing this or you ought to be doing that. If you want that stripe, you need to be doing this. If you want to win an award, you better do this. And these NCOs or these senior NCOs will go out there, they'll get that assignment, and they won't be happy because they're not fulfilling what they want to be known for. They're not fulfilling their mission statement. And then sometimes the promotion doesn't even come. You know, promotions are never guaranteed, so I really like that advice. Next question. How has a failure set you up for a later success?
So, funny thing about failure is that you can have multiple outcomes. But for me, in the way I was raised and how I approach life, I take failure, whatever that log of failure is, and I throw it on the fire. And I allow it to burn with some intensity, with some resiliency, and I always come back. As a leader, I strive to create an environment where people can fail without being a failure. Because I believe there's so much to be learned inside of a failing. So for me, I don't learn much when I'm great at something. Maybe it just comes naturally to me, or I'm just gifted at something. And so when I do it, it's difficult because you'll have folks who will say, "Oh, just keep doing what you're doing." Well, okay, I kind of know what I'm doing. I kind of don't because it just comes easy. So, all right, I'll just keep doing this. But anytime I have a failing, it causes me to pull back, look at the situation differently. I learn something more about myself. And every time I stand back up and I get back in the arena, I recognize that my resolve is that much stronger.
I love that you said that you can fail without being a failure. You know, for a while we've been labeled as a one mistake Air Force. And a while back ago during the force shaping period, I do know that a lot of airmen were separated for a single PT failure, or they had some paperwork in their PIF, and that was it for them. And I kind of feel like some of those ghosts of that mindset still exist. Uh, I've heard it where they said, "Oh, senior airman so and so they failed the DPE last reporting cycle, so I don't think maybe they shouldn't get a promotion statement." Or, you know, Staff Sergeant so and so failed the PT test 2 years ago, so he shouldn't be considered for this opportunity. You know, even though these senior airmen or these staff sergeants or whatever rank, they bounce back. They're trying to bounce back. They're trying to do great things. We still have little remnants of that mindset, but it's getting fewer and farther in between, and I think that's a really good thing for our force. Next question. What is a book that you have given out the most as a gift, or a couple books that have impacted your life?
There's two of them. So the two books that I've given out the most, I've recommended the most. The first one is The Alchemist. That is my all-time life book. And then the second one is The Four Agreements. Those two books, regardless of where you are in your life journey, you can take something away from them, but more importantly, you get to choose what you take out of those books. So it's not like a leadership book where they're telling you you need to do this or you need to focus in this area. Like, these are storylines that anyone, no matter where you are, you can recognize, see yourself, and recognize that there is some work that you can do to be better. And so there isn't a day that goes by that I don't remember I'm paraphrasing here, the lines that comes out of that book, The Alchemist, that when you're en route to your own personal destiny, the entire world conspires. And then, of course, I always go back to those four agreements, and they help shape what my own personal guiding principles are that I live by day in life.
Well, you really brought the heat with The Alchemist and The Four Agreements. I consider myself a little bit of a reader, but I still haven't even given either of those books a read. So I'll definitely have to put those on my book bucket list. But I did like how you represent them, that you can take what you need out of those books and apply it to your own life. It's not your typical leadership book that says, well, you know, good leaders do this or good leaders do that, or this is what you should be doing if you want to be a good leader. I like that you can kind of take what you need out of those books and tailor it to what you're trying to do. All right, final question. What is some bad advice that you have received in your career?
Some of the worst advice that I've been given is that you are a big fish, so you should be in a small pond. That was some advice that was given to me from a chief. And the truth is that big fish don't belong in small ponds. Big fish belong in big ponds, lakes, oceans, because there's not enough room in a small pond for a big fish. There are not enough resources to sustain the life, the purpose of the passion of a big fish. So if you are hungry, and you are the cream that is capable of rising to the top, and you are some of the best stuff that this Air Force is made out of, small pond is not where you belong. A small pond is where big fish sometimes die. And so the best thing that I did was not follow that advice. And so I went in search of a big pond, and I have been better off because of it. It changed my trajectory, and it caused me to work harder, to keep pace with the other big fish that were already a part of that pond, so that way I can get bigger, so that I can end up in a lake and maybe inside of this Air Force ocean. So go chase some of those big ponds out there.
Wow, I've actually heard similar advice. I heard a young master sergeant being groomed, and he was being told, if you want to make senior master sergeant, if you want to ensure you get a strat, don't put in for the Ramsteins, the Lacklands, the J Bears. Make sure you put in for one of those Sleepy Hollow bases, because at that Sleepy Hollow base, there's not going to be many shiny pennies there. So that wing commander, that command chief, they're going to know you on a first name basis. But if you go to one of those headquarters bases, you might not ever get recognized. But in reality, if you take that same senior master sergeant and put him at one of those large bases, there's going to be a lot of sharp leaders out there that are going to help refine you and sharpen your blade. Iron sharpens iron. So I definitely agree with your perspective. I think that's great advice coming from you, and that's great that you didn't listen to that advice from your mentor that was giving you advice. So Senior Master Sergeant Booth, thank you so much for taking the time to answer some questions. I know our defenders are gonna definitely take some wisdom out of your words. So keep being that pioneer of change. Keep leading from the front. We appreciate it. Out.